I saw a white flash of light, like a camera flash. Like I was inside the flash of a camera. And then nothing, just darkness, just blackness. All I could hear was this, like if you took a radio and turned it up as loud as it would go, and then took it off the station, where it's just like just like a static. That's all I could hear. I knew I was still conscious, and somehow through this, I had realized that I'd been hit in the head with a rocket-propelled grenade. I reached up and felt my head, and it was all wet. So I knew I was bleeding pretty severely. But there's certain things we do as Marines, and as military in general. We do certain things we call muscle memory things. There's some things that even when you don't have the ability to think, you still know to do. So what it had done is it had blown me into the tank. It blew me down into the turret floor, the explosion. And I was down on the deck, so I knew at least to stand up. I knew I was conscious, stand up. So I stood up. And then I knew a second thing, because this is something I'd always drilled into my Marines. We do a lot of things we train very repetitively, so that when you're in a situation like this, that you're really not thinking very clearly, some things just become very reactionary to you. I knew I'd always drilled into them. If you get hit, if you get shot, anything happens to you, move. Because if the enemy hits you once, if you don't move, he's going to hit you again. He's going to hit you again until you're dead. So I knew we had to move the tank. I knew the tank was just going to keep having rockets poured into it until they lit it on fire. So I reached for my gunner, young Marine, Corporal Chambers, 22-year-old Marine from near here, from San Luis Obispo. I reach around for Chambers, I can't find him. The gunner rides down inside the turret, but he's your second in command. He's the one that fires the main gun. Can't find him. I'm talking to him. I'm trying to get his attention. I'm saying, Chambers, Chambers. I'm fishing around for him in the turret. Tell him, Chambers, you got to get the tank moving. And I can feel I'm bleeding pretty bad, but he's not there. And what Chambers had done is without hesitation, he left his gunner's position. As soon as he seen the gunny get blown out of the hatch, and he climbed up in there and he took him out of the tank. I couldn't find him because he'd already taken my position. I reached for my loader next. Lance Corporal Hernandez, another Marine. Can't find him. He's the one I put down in the turret. Because after I got hit, he knew he had to get up and man that machine gun. Because he knew an attack's like a one-way street. There's no backing up. If you back up, you put all the other Marines in jeopardy because you bottle everything up. We've got to continue to push, especially if you're in the lead. If you're in the lead, you either got to get out of the way or keep pushing. So these Marines chose to keep pushing. And Chambers gave the command, driver, move out. I felt the tank start moving, and I felt good. I thought, okay, this is good. The tank is moving. So they pushed into the attack. Now, this is something I didn't know. I couldn't see. These two Marines that did this, they were both wounded themselves. Both of them had taken shrapnel wounds, one in the arm, the other in both arms and hands. One was bleeding pretty badly, but they were up there manning those machine guns, pushing that tank forward, pushing that tank into the enemy. I get asked a question a lot. People always say, "What? The guy that shot you, did you get him?" And I said, "I don't know," and I really don't. And but I often think about it, and not in a bad way, not in a hateful way or anything like that. But I think what must have been going through his head to fire that rocket right into the hatch, ding it right off of one of these guys' helmets, light the top of the tank on fire, wound everybody in the turret, and then see these guys get up and get on those machine guns, and then they just keep pushing in the attack. I think he had to be thinking, what the heck I got to do to kill these Americans, you know? It's like, like idle conversation. And I know what he's doing. He's just trying to get me talking so that I don't go into shock. It's a first aid technique. And I had enough cognition to at least know what he was doing. So I said, look, man, I know what you're doing. I'm fine. I'm not going to go into shock. I'm good. The only thing hurting me right now is talking to you because I'm nauseous. So can I just not talk to you? He says, it's cool, Gunny, so he just keeps working on it. Then his chief comes over. Chief's like the Navy equivalent of a Gunny. And the chief starts lighting him up. Chief starts yelling at him and, I thought I told you to talk to me. He's doing what Gunnies do. You're supposed to, if he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, you yell at him, So I get what the chief's doing. And I didn't want this guy to get yelled at anymore. I was very appreciative of what he was doing for me, and I just wanted this whole peace and harmony thing to be happening in my medevac side. I just wanted to yell and stop. And so I started trying to answer him, and then I got sick. I threw up over both these guys. My world was starting to look up at this point. Now I'm starting to feel a little better because I just lightened the load a little bit. Well, then the next thing that happens is I start feeling this weight just being piled up. Just like they're trying to bury me. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, we're being mortar attacked, Gunny. And I figured out later, it took me all the way to the hospital before I finally pieced this little mystery together. But what they were doing was they were taking off their own body armor and covering me up. And I'll tell you, if you'd have seen me at the time, my odds of making it are maybe not so good. And these guys were risking their own lives, they're exposing themselves to enemy fire just to give me that slightly better chance of making it. And I tell you, we all talk about courage, honor, commitment. We talk about semper fi, always faithful, God, country, and court. Talk's cheap. What those individuals were doing right there, that's courage, honor, commitment. That's core values. That's semper fi. And I tell you, I don't have a vocabulary big enough to describe what I feel about those individuals. So, people ask me, they say, why'd you write a book, Gunny? And this is where I want to tell you why, right here. Because those individuals, all those individuals I just described, if I were to bump into them on the street right now, I wouldn't even know who they are. Those two guys who saved my life out in that field, I couldn't tell you who they are. I couldn't tell you their names. You never get a chance to say thank you to these people. You never get it. They never ask for it. They do it freely. They do it selflessly. They never ask for thanks, and you never get a chance to give it to them. And there's a little bit of guilt that'll set in with you. I mean, it's not like keep you awake at night type guilt, but it's you wish somehow you could go back through every one of these events and just say thank you to every one of these individuals. Because from the moment I got hit to the moment I'm standing here in this room with you right now, there's just a parade of Americans between then and now that have done so many things to help me get my life back, to get my life moving forward, to go from being hit in the head with a rocket to being standing here in a room with you here today talking, drinking Pepsi. A lot of great Americans made that happen, and I never got a chance to say thank you to half of them. So why write a book? That's the reason, is to say thank you, to share their courage, to share their heroism with whoever might read it. So for me, I'm thinking I'm moving on. I've become like check luggage at this point. Now, once you're in the medevac process, you're just being shipped, moved, whatever. People are working on you, and you're really out of control of what's going on right here. But I've had a few things that I've got in my Marine Corps lifeline. I learned them in the Corps. And the first one is obviously simplify. Always faithful. Faithful to God, country, and court. Believe in those things that are bigger than ourselves. And when the going gets tough, you better have some of those things bigger than yourself to fall back on. So I got that. Now then there was another piece of advice, because that came with a caveat from the first NCO I worked for, the first non-commissioned officer I worked for in the Marine Corps. He said, Pop, he said, anybody can be Semper Fi at 2 in the afternoon here in the middle of a sunny day. That's easy. Anybody can do that. Anybody can walk around and say, hoorah, Semper Fi, and be faithful then. That's easy. The real Marine, he's that one at 0400. When you're cold, you're tired, you're wet, you're wounded, you've been awake for days, you're under fire, when things aren't going your way. That individual who can be Semper Fi then, who believes in those things then, that's the real Marine. That's who you want to be. You want to be the 0400 Marine. So here I was wounded, I'm being moved along, I'm blind, I have a little bit of hearing left, I got numerous shrouds, I got lots of holes in my head and my neck. And I think I'm at my 0400 moment, but I wasn't there yet. But I thought I was. So I'm thinking Semper Fi, always faithful. Let's just keep moving forward. Let's get all this damage fixed and get moving forward. So my first stop was Landstuhl, Germany. I wake up in a wheelchair. I'm being wheeled down a hallway, and I didn't know where I was at. A voice started speaking to me. He said, "I'm the chaplain here at Landstuhl Army Medical Hospital." I said, "Great. I had no idea where Landstuhl was. He could have told me it was on Mars for all the more I knew where it was." But that was good. He said, "Is there anything I can do for you, son, spiritually?" I said, "Yes, sir, there is." I said, my wife and I, when I'm deployed, we write a verse back and forth to each other in letters. I said, we say it to each other, we write it. I said, "Could you look it up in your Bible, just read it? I just want to hear it right now." He said, "Sure." He said, "What is it?" I said, "Romans 1:11. So he opened his Bible, he thumbed through, I could hear him flipping pages, and he reads it to me. And it says, "For I long to see you, that I might impart upon you a spiritual gift, that you and I will be mutually encouraged by each other's faith."